Welcome to week 4. This week, our topic is meditation in early childhood education. So we're going to concentrate on defining meditation, looking at the benefits, the different types of meditation, some resources for meditating, and how it can be used with children and with adults. Then we're going to highlight what you should be focusing on for task 1 of edTPA, go over the meditation technique number 4, and highlight the homework for this week. So what is meditation? Meditation is a contemplative practice that comes to us originally from the Buddhist philosophy, yet it has been practiced by folks from different religious backgrounds for centuries. So we have adopted it and adapted it to our Western needs and backgrounds. And it really focuses on being present, on developing mindfulness to become fully present in the moment. So it's not necessarily about not thinking or stopping a thought process. And in the Western world, it's much less about faith and faith-based beliefs or religious beliefs, and more about an altering consciousness state in which you're looking to find awareness or to develop awareness and achieving a sense of peace and calmness by being present with what is at the moment, right? So if you see in this illustration some tips to help you start meditating, or if you're having trouble continuing or sustaining a meditation practice, you can focus on your breath. You can focus on the position of your arms and your legs and play with that, right? So what we have here is the typical meditation position for what we call a sit. But you can meditate in different positions. In fact, sometimes it's easier to meditate when your legs aren't crossed, because there's more circulation of blood and oxygen. So play with the position of your arms, the position of your legs, with your eyes opened or closed, and the time that you dedicate to meditating. The research has shown that the benefits, which is what we're going to go into next, of meditation are attained through a consistent practice, more so than the length of practice. So think about how much time you can dedicate to meditation consistently, so day in and day out, versus a long period of time that you can dedicate one day a week or once a month. Shoot for shorter amounts of time that you can really practice on a consistent daily basis. I know people who meditate several times a day. That might not be realistic for you, but just think about how you can incorporate meditation on a daily basis, even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes a day. That is what has been found is going to produce the most benefits. So why should we meditate, right? So there are several benefits, and if you see the image here to the right, there's 10 benefits of meditation here: increased focus, reduced anxiety, increased creativity, reduced stress, increased memory, reduced pain, and this is like physical pain, increased compassion, reduced depression, increased productivity, and emotional balance. So really, there's many benefits to like I said before, sustained and consistent practice of meditation. For learning purposes, meditation can improve attention, focus, and concentration. So it's really beneficial to help our students focus, pay attention, and really concentrate on the topic on hand, stay on task, and optimally learn, right? So for us, it also, for adults and for children as well, but it'll help reduce stress. It will improve your self-esteem, your self-awareness. For people who suffer from anxiety and depression, it also helps manage anxiety and depression. For people that have issues with addiction or chronic pain, it also helps control, navigate addiction and pain. And it overall promotes a pro-social, altruistic kind of behavior towards others and towards yourself. So it's also beneficial for self-care and self-compassion. It has been found to improve the overall quality of life of people who consistently practice meditation. It improves their well-being. It just changes the way people perceive and navigate life. And so the benefits really are endless. But again, in order to obtain those benefits, meditation needs to be practiced consistently. So what kinds of meditations can we practice, right? So there are different kinds, and you'll find which one better suits your particular needs and which ones you can practice. So there's mindfulness meditation, which is breath meditation. It's concentrating on the breath, which is some of the types that we've been practicing so far, and counting the breath and just focalizing and paying attention to your breath. Another type is movement or walking meditation, which involves you having your eyes open and being aware of your surroundings as you're walking and meditating. And it could be a guided walking meditation, or it could be just being very present as you walk. Mantra meditation is repeating a mantra. Transcendental meditation is a type of meditation really where you are very self-aware and have sort of a transcendent spiritual experience while meditating, or you can get to that point, to a transcendental or transcendent spiritual experience while meditating. Visualization meditation is a guided meditation that prompts the meditator to visualize, to envision images that will guide the sitter, the meditator, to this place of relaxation and peace and calmness. Last year, I took a course with Julia Fradal, and if you're interested, her website is juliafradal.com, in which she explained the different kinds of meditation, and it moved us through different practices to get to the highest kind, right? So the first kind of meditation is the focused attention. And she shared two types, that Trataka and Shamatha are two types of these focused attention meditation. One is focused on the breath, and the other one is with the eyes open, focused on a candle. And focused attention is a type of meditation where you're really focusing, narrowing your attention to focus on one specific thing. It's the type of meditation that we've been doing when we focus on our breath, right? Open monitoring meditations are a meditation that instead of narrowing our focus is opening, widening our focus to perceive everything and anything that is happening around us without getting hooked or involved with what we are noticing. So it's a little more challenging because you have more stimuli, but you're open to anything and everything that is happening and noticing everything, but not getting attached or involved or hooked with any particular thing. And then the third level, which is the most difficult one, is this effortless presence in meditation, which is sitting, for example, with a question of who am I? And every time you get an answer, continuing to ask that question until you go deeper and deeper and deeper into self-inquiry. And this is going to arrive you at, or help you arrive at, this pure being of who you are as a spiritual human being. The effortless presence meditation takes more time. So if I was telling you that if you even have 5 or 10 minutes a day to do focused meditation, that is going to be very beneficial. Open monitoring takes a little more time than that, and effortless presence takes even more time than that. In fact, Julia would tell us, 45 minutes minimum to practice these other types of meditation. And you could stay in focused attention and just be increasing the time that you sit to meditate. All of this is to gain the maximum benefits that you can from your practice. So these are some recommendations that she gave us when we were taking the course with her. So find your own version of not too loose or not too tight when you're sitting, when you're mentally engaging with either attention, open monitoring, or effortless presence. Not too tight, not too loose. You have to find your Goldilocks just right position, environment, time of the day, props that you're using to make it just right for you. She reminds her students that the process of meditating is the teacher, not necessarily the results of a particular sit. And the process is not necessarily linear in an upward motion. The process, you'll see that you'll have some sits that are more fruitful than others. And she says that in order to gain the benefits, you really have to stay light and humble and curious, and not judge yourself, and not reprimand yourself, and not beat yourself up if you're doing it or not doing it. To really just be gracious to yourself. And if you ever sort of fall off the wagon, begin again. You can always begin again. And no one's telling you, no one's, taking score or keeping track of how many sits you have done or how many minutes you can meditate in a sit. Wherever you are, start there. And if you ever feel like you're making progress and you stop for some reason meditating, know that you can always begin again. So if you want to explore different guided meditations or different applications, types of meditation and applications that have different types, these are some apps that I recommend that you can explore. The Calm app is one that I used for many years, and it has stories and narrated meditation experiences, guided meditations, music. Balance also I've had this one also. I've had all of these apps over the years. But Balance is also a good one. 10% is also a good one. Headspace is another common one that a lot of people know about. Liberate is one that was developed by African Americans for African Americans. So if you want one that's more sort of for minorities, that would be a good one. It's the one here with this square, red square with a sitting person, or the silhouette of the sitting person. Plum Village is one that I use now, is the one that Julia had recommended to her students in her program. And it has chimes and timers. So if you just want to sit in silence with no guidance, Plum Village has a feature in its app that will time you and give you some chimes at the 5-minute mark, at the 10-minute mark, at the 15-minute mark, and so on, so that you know how much time you've been meditating and how much time is left. So it's a good guidance. And if you have to shift, if you're doing a kind of meditation that you're shifting, say, from attention, focused attention to open monitoring and back, or if you're doing the different kinds of techniques, it'll be a good timer to set if you want to do 5 minutes for one thing and 5 for the next, and so on. It's a good indicator to change or shift to the next thing. So all of these are ones that I recommend. All of these have a portion that is free. So you download the app and there's some things that you can navigate free. All of them have, paid components of their apps. So if you want to do a subscription, you can do that too. Plum Village is completely free. I haven't seen Plum Village prompt me to pay for anything. So that might be one interesting to look at. Let's see. So meditation for children. So when we're thinking about meditating with children or teaching children to meditate, we'll try to do sits that are no more than 15 minutes. Children, if we want adults to sit for 45 minutes so they can get to that really soul-seeking kind of meditation and transcendental and really like a spiritual experience kind of meditation, we're not going to ask that of children. So we're not going to ask children to sit there for 45 minutes. So a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 is the max that you could really ask a child to sit for. Unless, they're really a Tibetan child that is being trained in this philosophy, right? So unless you have a child like that, the children that we work with really no more than 15 minutes. The breath work and the focus meditation are the best kinds of meditation for children, and are the ones that are going to give us the benefits of focus, attention, and concentration, which is what we're looking for learning. And short guided meditations are best to start, but eventually you want the children to be able to sit in silence for the duration, right? So even if you're doing 2 or 3 minutes, if you start with a guided meditation where they're focusing on their breath, great. And then after a while, after they've practiced that for a few days, then maybe ask them to sit there in silence by themselves and have them, count their own breath and guide themselves through the 2 or 3 minutes that you're practicing or sitting to meditate. Again, we call it a sit, but we saw that there's walking meditations, there's movement meditations, there are meditations with your eyes open, with your legs outstretched. It doesn't have to be a one-size-fits-all. Because it's not. one kind of meditation is not going to be the best for everybody. So try to bring that flexibility when you introduce it to your students. On that note, I have on my website, and my website is drjenmata.com. There is, if you scan this QR code, it'll take you there, and it's kind of like a goodie bag. So if you get to the Spirit Lab portion of my website, and you scroll down, all the meditations that we've been introducing and that we'll introduce during the weeks of the seminar are there. But there's also a list of children's books that are good to use. There's lists of music that is good to use. And there's other resources there as well for you to use. And they're geared for adults, but there's also geared for teachers that are working with young children, and sort of props and resources for children. The publications that I've done are the 2 books that we're reading this term, and these are other articles that I've written with colleagues or by myself, research projects, and some are more conceptual about children's spirituality and about teachers working with spirituality in the classroom, and about teachers' conceptualization of spirituality, of children's spirituality, and how that plays out in their pedagogy. The references for this particular presentation are here. So if you want to explore more specifically on meditation or meditation in early childhood or mindfulness, these are the references that I used. So let's move to edTPA, task 1. So this week, your context for learning should be complete. Your write-up for your lesson plans should be complete. So you need to complete them this week. So your 3 or 5 lessons for that 3 or 5 hours of instruction, that block schedule, the block instructional plan that you're doing should be complete by the end of this week. So that by next week or the following, you will be focusing on next week and the following, you will be focusing on, so week 5 and week 6, you'll be focusing on task 2 and teaching these lessons and recording yourself teaching them. So take use of this time, make use of this time to really have task 1 finished by the end of this week 4, or at the latest beginning of week 5, so that this is done and you can start in week 5 concentrating on task 2, which is the instruction portion or the teaching portion. So for this week, week 4, we have technique 4 of meditation, and it's the anchoring technique. And if you go to Blackboard or to my website, you'll find technique 4 anchoring there, and it's the 10-minute guided meditation. So the homework for this week is complete the readings for week 4, complete the discussion board. There's going to be 1 discussion board to fill out, and finish your work on task 1 for edTPA. And if you are done with that, you can begin reading the materials for edTPA for task 2. If you're not, that's what we're going to be focusing on next week, to really start getting familiar with task 2 and start teaching those plans that you developed in task 1. And of course, practice the anchoring technique number 4 for meditation. And if that doesn't work for you, and if you prefer technique 1, 2, or 3, you can do that too. You can continue practicing technique 1, 2, and 3, or just practice technique 4 as giving you another strategy or another technique to choose from. And remember to journal your experience. What's happening while you're meditating? Are you finding it difficult? Are you finding it, are you seeing any benefit from it? Or are you seeing any particular challenges from it that you could potentially work through or navigate or work on as you do your sits? Okay, that's all for week 4. I will see you on Blackboard.